Did, oh gosh, what was, where'd y'all grow up? Now, Aunt Helen, you weren't born until after the wagon trail west, is that right?
That's right. I was on the wagon trail.
And you were on the wagon trail. How old were
Helen
you?
was the first one.
I was 3.5. And we had to stop the wagon.
So for me to be born,
Where to be born.
and if you believe that one, we can tell you another.
But we had to stop at a city because we had to get a doctor.
Had to get a permit.
You can see how much truth still be in this one.
Yeah. Where's a good place to start, guys?
You could start with Clyde. He's the oldest, and he knows about Sweet Home.
Yeah.
Tell me that.
I was born in 1918 at Bryan. And somewhere along in there, our dad was a railroad conductor, and he got laid off. So he had to provide for his family, which kept growing and growing. And I understand that first, you dropped your glasses, Jim. First, he bought a farm at Bryant, which was where I was born. And somewhere along in there, he moved to Sweet Home on a 10-acre property, and he started selling butter and eggs in Little Rock. And then he got a few more cows, and he started selling milk in Little Rock. But on 10 acres, there just wasn't enough grass for 10 cows. So he bought this place out at Garrett Springs, which had 140 to 160 acres, and
You missed me.
well, yeah. Sarah was born at Sweet Home, and she was about 2 years old just before we came to Garrett Springs, and we were going to Sunday school one morning, all of us barefooted, which Sunday school was about a mile from where we lived, and
In Garrett Springs.
huh?
Garrett Springs or
No, this was at Sweet Home. And she had cut her foot somehow. So our hero, Clyde,
our fearless leader.
picked her up and carried her back home. He felt so sorry for Sarah that he had to carry her back home.
And miss Sunday school.
Miss Sunday
Miss
school.
Sunday school.
Darn.
Well, anyhow, Sarah was about 2 years old when we moved from Sweet Home to Garrett Springs. And what Dad had done at Garrett Springs before we moved, there was a 2-room house on the property with a lean-to room on the back of it. And he had a carpenter come in and add 2 rooms to the front of that, and then put a floor over all 4 rooms and extend the roof so that upstairs was just one big floor as the same size as the 4 rooms beneath it. And that's where 5 boys slept in various single and double beds and so forth. And
No bathroom.
no bathroom. We had a floor.
I don't know what that is. Explain it to me.
No.
It had a
Let
lid.
it go.
It had a lid.
Let it rest.
They could probably guess.
And we had to empty it.
But not only got all ready to move, they drove the cows out onto the road, and Joe, our older brother, who was 2 years older than I was, rode our horse, and he went along with the cows to keep them out of the gardens and out of people's yards. And we made about an 8-mile trip over to Gar Springs. Those of you who are familiar with Little Rock, we left Sweet Home with our cows, and we went south on Sweet Home Cutoff to Arch Street Pike, north to Baseline Road, west to Gar Springs Road, north on Gar Springs Road to Foreman Road, west on Foreman Road to Mableville Pike,
And it took 2 days.
we did it all in one afternoon. But we followed. I was only 7 years old, so I wasn't able to do that. But I guess all of us kids and mother and all of the dairy equipment followed the cows in the Model T 1-ton truck. And Joe and our hired hand kept the cows going down the road. And all of the roads were gravel roads at that time. Of course, none of them are gravel now. But there we were, a complete dairy moved to a new location. And sooner or later, Helen came along.
Oh, no.
But you already had 2 others you haven't mentioned. 2 other brothers.
I had, 3 of us.
Well, you mentioned one of them.
Louis
You
and
mentioned
Joe,
but
me, Elmer, and Ralph, and Sarah, and then our baby.
Yeah. She was.
the baby didn't come till you got moved to Gar Springs.
Right. And we have a picture of Helen getting a bath on the back steps in a wash tub.
Yes, we do.
And
Can I insert something there?
why don't you?
Well, why don't you just insert it?
Well, every picture of Helen from the time she was until she was 10 has a diaper showing.
Can I insert
I
something there?
promise.
Can I insert something? And every picture we have of both girls, there had been a bowl, I believe, laid over our heads. Hair,
Like so.
like that. But we were gorgeous anyway.
Go ahead.
Excuse us.
You're cute.
Well, we milked cows, we bottled milk, and we washed up. And school days was kind of harried around there. We had to milk, bottle milk, load it in the truck, get it off the town, and then wash up everything. So I'd be ready that afternoon and before the school bus came by. And the school bus driver knew he had to start honking the horn before he got there.
Oh, that would be the bouncing. Right.
You.
When they were gone, I did.
I bounced, Elmer bounced, Shelby Burger bounced,
And Joe bounced. And Joe drove.
And Helen bounced.
and it evolved that ultimately I drove the milk truck and Ralph bounced. And I remember one time when I was driving and Ralph was bouncing. To bounce, you stand on a running board and you get the milk in your hand, and when the truck stops, you hit the ground running. And I pulled into one driveway on East South Broadway one time a little too fast and stopped a little too fast. And Ralph got off with 2 quarts of milk in his hand, and he couldn't quite make it.
He spilled the milk?
He broke a couple of bottles.
Oh, Lordy!
Oh, I can't imagine that happening.
He didn't get hurt though.
No,
we
he
weren't
didn't get
missing
hurt,
that.
but it made a mess on the driveway.
And also made a
But you
mess.
got to clean up.
I guess we must have cleaned it up.
You did.
I'll probably made Ralph do it. But
Well, you didn't take responsibility for it though.
Well, it wasn't his
I
fault.
didn't have to. Ralph took responsibility for it.
Yeah, he was supposed to hold on better and hold up. I could hold on with 2 quarts of milk.
You got to carry her.
You'd be surprised what a milkman can do. What door when he can get in. Hands full of bottles.
Well, he got me, and Dad got me a carrier.
Well, we had a carrier, but you're a sissy to use a carrier.
Oh, I was
You
sure a
can
sissy.
hold 3 bottles of milk in this hand.
Oh, great.
If you
That's why you broke 2 bottles.
hands are big. And then
Was there any excitement on the drive over with the cows? They all go right into the barn when you got there? Into the
he had
yard?
excellent herdsmen that made them go where they're supposed to go.
Oh.
They were a little slow and a little ordinary, cantankerous.
And how many cows would you say there were?
I would say there's 8 or 10 cows at that time.
Not very many.
I'll bet milk production was down that night.
I bet it was too. But the cows got to where the herd increased, of course, over there, and they each one knew their stall. When you open the door and let them in, they'd walk to their stall and wait to be yoked in.
I thought they were dumb.
Huh?
I thought cows were dumb.
Cows are dumb, but they learn that.
They learned by rote,
learned that
by
by
habit.
And what was your cow's name?
My cow's name was Oscar.
I had the Oz. I was thinking it was Oswald. I can't imagine why I thought that.
That's an inside joke.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, what was yours, Sarah? Did you know the cows?
I can't remember the cow's name.
But you did milk some cows.
No, I learned to milk a cow, but I tried to stay away. We both did. We stayed away from
We
barn.
had duties. in
But
the
you,
Oh, we had great
your
duties.
mother fixed breakfast every morning, and she had what? Biscuits and
Oh,
a big
oh.
breakfast.
sometimes cinnamon rolls.
Wood stove or what?
Well,
Wood stove.
Begin with.
so, and when it was hot, not for breakfast, but in the evening, she would somehow make a fire outside and cook even biscuits outside, turning. Yeah, you remember that?
And then that's the way you did your laundry?
Yes.
She had
With a
big,
good old stick.
big iron pot that sat down on the open fire. And I guess the water got to boiling before she,
Oh, but the clothes got clean.
yeah.
If they didn't get wear out.
You stirred it with a stick.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't have a washer or a wringer or anything. What did you do? How
Later,
did you do it?
later we had a ringer.
Oh, then you'd run them through the wringer and
Ran to the ringer and hung on.
clothesline.
Clothesline.
No dryer.
We didn't have a dryer.
Pre-dryer days.
Sun,
Oh, the sun dried. Oh, they smell so good.
except in wintertime, and then you're freezing.
Yeah, but still. Then the girls came along.
We were such an addition to the family. I mean,
They
After
were-
5 boys, that's the truth.
You can imagine what 2 little girls are in a family of 5 older brothers.
yes, we had bruises.
And we picked our person to pick on.
No,
Or did they pick their person to pick on?
they picked on Ralph.
Well, the boys did, but we picked on Clyde.
The normal outcome of that is there's 2 spoiled brats.
What? You spoiled us? You spoiled us? You'd
No,
always, when you'd see me, you'd say, "Are you pregnant?" And if I wasn't, you beat me.
I didn't spoil you. Your parents spoiled you.
No, they.
Now that's good funny.
I gotta just. Can I just tell something that's not very nice?
Let me zoom in on this one.
No.
Not very nice. He's talking about when he drove. He drove to school and how arid it was. Well, once upon a time, I didn't get ready on time, and he didn't say, "Sweet girl, hurry!" He said, "Oh, you D-heifer." And so that has been with me forever, and it has been a stain on my whole life. And so finally, at our 50th anniversary, Dorothy was so nice, and she had a birthday cake, anniversary cake and everything. Everybody was there, so the video was going, and I said, There's this one request, Clyde, that I have of you. Would you please just kneel down and apologize? He did. We got it on tape. He apologized for calling me up.
I was
He-
different.
And then immediately when she turned her back, he
No, then, let's see, what was it? One of these guys said something wasn't nice. But, and that was on,
Jam?
that was on
Oh, it could
video.
have been Jam.
So it really didn't accomplish very much. But anyway, that was what I
Well, it
remember.
accomplished a whole lot if it lasted that many years.
That what?
It accomplished a whole lot if it lasted that many years. 50th wedding anniversary.
You know what? I thought that was a term of endearment.
Well, that's what he'd tell you.
That's how, that kind of
But he's-
endearment was the kind that spoiled us.
He's taught his sons the same techniques.
Yeah, but you didn't tell about what you said to the teacher when I was born. I mean, you were so excited when I was born. You
Well, I
missed
heard
that.
that one.
Skipped it.
Oh, we've got a new baby daughter, and it's a girl.
Yeah. I've got a new little sister at home, and it's a girl.
Your sister and his girl.
I don't remember saying that.
Well, my mother said you said it, so if she said it, you said it, you said it.
How would she know?
Well, he was
Miss
probably
Idell.
so surprised.
Miss Idell told her.
Because there'd been two boys before that. He thought they were all going to be boys, and suddenly there's a sister.
Imagine 5 boys sleeping in one room.
Oh, boy, it was a mess. We had to clean it up. You
No,
remember?
I bet you wasn't.
Did it ever get clean?
Well, we didn't dust under the beds, but we made beds sometimes.
And put the laundry in the laundry hamper and all that.
Hamper.
Well,
Throw down
the
the
washing machine, the washing tub, or something. Wherever you kept it,
There was
collected it.
something about the dairy business that kind of irked me.
Something?
Yeah, one thing or a whole lot of
Well,
things.
this thing was, there were 5 boys in the family, and as long as all 5 boys were there, we never had a milking machine.
They didn't have.
But the bar came along, and all the boys were in the service, and Daddy bought a milk machine and hired a high school boy to take our place.
Because that was just when the milking machines came in. I mean,
No, it
electricity.
wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Uh-oh. I'm moving.
He's just realized how unnecessary he really was.
Remember what you used to say when somebody would say, "Can you stay and play ball?" What did you say?
When what?
When
Can
they
you
asked
stay
you,
and-
stay and play ball or stay and,
After school.
yeah, let's ride bikes. And what would you say?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, you do. You'd say, you and Elmer both would say, "Can't go. Gotta go home and get milk. Gotta go home and help milk."
Well, he
still
even
say
said that when he was
Well.
courting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I gotta be home by 9 o'clock.
Well, going home to get milk gets awful boring. Our 4th of July holiday was something.
Oh, boy. Hot, but
We rushed to get the milk truck off, and the milk truck rushed with 2 bouncers, I think. And he might have got back at 10:30. And then we loaded up and went down to the creek and had our,
Jennings Lake.
sometimes Jenny Lake, and sometimes Rock Creek.
Oh,
And we had our picnic, and when we got sufficiently sunburned, we had to come home and start.
and put on the vinegar or whatever it was,
Yeah.
rubbed on us. Oh, that was wonderful, but it was painful.
But we did actually have fun right
Yeah, that was the day we had.
Took a day
there. Or
off.
we did.
One day,
Yeah.
one
Well,
afternoon.
I know.
But you know, the more rare it is, the more you remember it, and remember it as fun. But if you'd have had a lot of those days, you wouldn't even remember it.
Hey, that's a thought.
Think about it.
Nothing that's good or bad, it's just
Chad,
a fact.
let me ask you something. You said one day y'all were rushed to get the truck out and you left with 2 bouncers. Is that how many cows did you have back then? About when was that?
Oh, that was back in the 30s sometime.
Okay.
We had
30s, y'all would be over at shall we say, Medicliff, Power Springs?
Yeah,
Okay, so Helen had been born by then. How
yeah.
many cows did you have, roughly?
I really don't remember, 15, 16 maybe.
It probably varied.
And you sold milk by the what, quart, gallon?
By the quart, pint, half pint, and gill. We sold cream by the gill, which is half of a half pint.
Well, and also,
Now, how many customers did you have out there?
But I don't know how many customers we had. It took all morning we start in the south end of Little Rock and go down through the old part of Little Rock, and then we go out to Pulaski Heights and wind up coming on Kavanaugh and hitting Fair Park Boulevard. And when you come down those hills in Fair Park, you can really gun it.
Well, now, okay, let me put it another way. How many quarts of milk did you have? Or did you fill the truck up? Or how many gallons per cow?
Oh, well,
they probably just dumped it all together.
It's getting a technical question.
yeah, this is technical. It varied considerably. I'd say an average cow was 2 gallons a day, but some of them exceeded that. Some of them missed it, I guess.
But how did you package your milk? You didn't have any automatic machinery, did you?
We had a bottling machine.
Oh, you did?
Pull the bottle around there, and you pull the lever, and you fill it up, and then you make another turn, and
Didn't it
cap
automatically do that?
automatically when you pull the lever.
Oh, I thought it automatically went around.
That must have been after his day.
No, but I was there, so I just don't remember.
We had probably the best record
Rating.
of Jewish bacteria on our milk. The county health man stopped along the highway and he flagged all the dairymen that passed by and got a sample of their milk. And we had one of the best ratings in Little Rock, and we got a lot of customers that way. And some of them were really good customers.
In fact, even after y'all quit having dairy milk, some of the customers came back out to see y'all then on a Sunday or something.
But he asked about how much of the truck was full. It was pretty much,
Loaded.
Well, we wasn't overloaded.
it was not a big truck.
Just a pickup truck.
Tell about the ice. You know, where did the ice come from?
Well, the ice came from the ice house up on Asher Street, and when we got through delivering the milk, we went by the ice plants and we got whatever we needed, and usually it was a 300-pound block that slid up in the back of the truck, and when we got home, if the ice plant didn't split it up in 100 pounds, we had to split it up in 100 pounds and carry it on our back and put it in a big tub-like cooler where we kept cans of milk and bottles of milk and ice and cold water.
As I remember that Blight Ice House, it was up high, so that couldn't you just shove it off of that porch onto your...
Yeah, we'd back up to it and then with our ice on, we'd let it down in there. We were on our way.
The steam room.
Steam room.
Yeah, that was
On this new milk house, Daddy built a steam room which you exited from the washing vat into the steam room where you put your utensils to be sterilized. And right next to the steam room was a big boiler, and that got to be quite a operation. We wound up using hot water and some kind of a germicide or something. Anyhow, we quit using the steam room because it was way too much trouble, and the other way was safe.
But the steam room did make things sterilized. It did sterilize. So
That's what it was for, I guess.
so we had a grade A dairy, right?
Sarah, were you the one who had to wash up vessels and everything, or,
No, we did other things.
but you didn't wash up vessels? Who did that?
I don't know.
You?
The boys that went on the truck.
Oh,
And I guess when school was on, they didn't have a bathroom.
Les Helen did for a while, but she didn't have him start school
Not
yet.
after the boys were gone.
And after everybody gone.
Oh, were you then, Helen?
I was in junior high.
You were the only bouncer they had?
Did you stand on the running board
Oh, you
and
bet you I did.
jump and run
You
when
bet you I
he
did.
stopped?
Well, of course.
You did get thrown off with 2,000 milk, though.
Terry Dairy could train their horses to stop at the right place, I guess.
Well,
Thank you a lot.
my grandfather could train his horses, he would deliver groceries, and they knew exactly where to go.
This is
The
how
horses are pretty smart.
this is how he spoiled us. Insult.
Well,
Insult.
I think Jim particularly wanted to hear how you spoiled me.
How did I spoil you? I don't think I spoiled
Testing.
you.
Oh, yes, that one.
Oh, yes. Well, I have to lead off. My first car was a Model T strip down that had a homemade bed on the back of it that would haul a bunch of scrap iron. And somebody advertised a Model T touring car in the papers for $12. And I asked my dad if I could get that, and he said, yeah. Well, I went to get it, and it was gone. So I went out to Davis's wrecking yard, and this kid was in there picking up scrap iron to take down to the scrap iron dealer. And I asked him if he'd sell that. He said, $17.50 if you help me unload this scrap iron. So I was a proud owner of a strip down with a truck bed on the back of it. But Daddy had gotten somebody, some wrecking yard, to bring some old car bodies over to the place and drop them off in ravines to stop erosion. And one of the bodies was a Model T Roadster body. So somehow I got that Roadster body out and got it mounted on this strip down. It didn't have any headlights, but this Roadster body had some little clearance lights up on the side of the hood. And the battery was useless except it was in the circuit. And if I'd come in, maybe a little dusk, I'd have those lights on, and when I turned the switch off, the lights just went down and out. But anyhow, to get to spoiling heaven, it wasn't firing too good, it wasn't running too good. So I got her to hold the spark plug on while I cranked it to see if it was firing.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And
What I remember even better is what happened next.
Or you went to the emergency room with a hand in cold
I
water.
got her to do it again. That's why I spoiled her.
he shocked her.
Mine hadn't been the same since.
But is that all he did to you?
Well,
Or
no.
there's other stories you want to tell?
Oh, I can remember, I don't know how Mother lived through the feet flying out the back door, the screen door slamming behind one of us, headed up Debbie Hill, fast as I could move. I wasn't fast enough, never quite fast enough. I was screaming bloody murder. Clyde was right behind me, and that screen door, wham, wham.
Well, that's also a spy-rail bush out in the yard that she'd run around a lot.
Of course, I didn't do anything to make him chase me.
You might have insulted me or something. Mildly insulted me.
Which brings a question to my mind. The dairy on top where your building, where the house is?
Right there where the house, right beside
Well, then
it.
how were you running up Deputy Hill anymore?
I ran down the driveway.
Oh.
Down the road, up the hill.
Well, you were almost at the hill.
All the way.
Well, I couldn't do that today.
Oh, really? Well, maybe I could win.
Maybe so.
But I did find out just a while back that I can still run.
What happened?
Got a little garden tractor with a trailer on behind, and I went up to our neighbor's house to pick up some vegetables. He has a big iron gate, he's got it in the state.
Yeah.
And I came back down and stopped my tractor to go back and close this big iron gate. And I thought I put the brake on, and I thought I put it in neutral.
If it's on a slow.
When I turned around from closing the gate, there was that thing down the blacktop driveway, downhill, all the way to the highway. And I took out after that thing. I was up on my toes, and I was laying them down.
And he caught
And
it.
I ran as fast as I've ever run, and I still couldn't catch it.
Oh, that's right. You didn't.
Finally strayed off the blacktop and side slapped my neighbor's
Chain link.
chain link fence and stopped.
Thank goodness.
But thankfully, none of the neighbors on either side of the driveway or anybody anywhere else saw that.
Well, thankfully, you were complaining that they didn't get to see you friendly. To realize he still could.
I haven't sprinted since.
And you haven't told the neighbors.
Well, you may have told
I
Jack.
Jack
The
Brown.
guy who has a black fence, black gate.
I don't think any of my grandchildren or any of my brothers or sisters could have caught me.
Well, we never chased you. You were the one that did the chasing.
Well,
You never find that out, I guess.
No.
Well,
Shall we have a foot race?
he still beats me at arm wrestling, so
Oh, he's pretty good at it.
how's that? Let's try.
no, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Oh.
Not on TV.
He can beat you.
Sarah, you're bound to have some stories to tell about things that you remember that they haven't talked about.
Can I tell them about you calling me Hein?
Hein. Oh, Hein, I waboo. Do you love me, Hein?
No.
And you said no.
No,
Not really.
But she was a loving type, but not quite as mushy as I was. So I didn't hear from her very much that she loved me. So I had to, Hein, do you love me? Tell me that you love me. And then I went through a period of my life when I felt that just to tell the truth or how you remembered it was not enough. And so I would tell something and I would say, I think. And then I would say, well, I think, which made it more truthful than if I just said something. And I remember saying to when Helen would make a statement, I would say, don't you mean you think?
You didn't want her to be positive because she might be wrong.
No, because it might be wrong and you might have lied. I don't worry about that now. You know, I just tell them right and left. I mean, if it helps.
Yeah, speaking of that, I trusted you.
Oh, well, I trusted you.
Recently, I trusted you.
But I steal pictures, and I told you that before. She had one of these pictures in her album here at the reunion. That it wasn't of her family; it was of my family. When Richie and Janie were just little kids. And, oh, it's so sweet.
I
So-
knew you would come clean.
Oh, I've already come clean. I've already told her I'm not going to give it back. So I said, I'll tell her that I'll get another copy made and send it to her. Did I say that?
I think
That's what
I
you
think
said several different
And I said it to you, but did I say that to you?
Yeah.
Did I say that to you? Did I tell you I was going to?
You said that at first, and then you changed it.
Well, that was because I didn't say I think. I think I will. I mean, I think I will. But the thing I remember about Helen being born was the kind of thing that you just do remember. The doctor, okay, we were at Sweet Home,
quite a feat after 5 boys. You have 2 girls.
Oh, but we did have good times, didn't we?
Yes, we
Well,
did.
I praise your mother for doing it, but I wasn't going to do it.
Had 5 boys.
Have 5 boys to get a
Well,
girl.
I almost did it. 4 boys. But anyway, remember
You had a
Skippy?
girl early on.
Oh, I remember Skippy.
Oh, Skippy was a treasure.
Do you remember Mike?
Yeah, that big black ball.
Oh, killer,
Yeah, you can't kill her.
killer.
Oh, but Mike was nothing compared to Skippy. Skippy was about this big.
Skippy was
Beautiful,
cute.
black and white, kind of lots of hair. And
Really, named Skippy, trot along behind the cows coming up and he'd keep that one hind leg up. He'd skip along with that hind
Were you
leg.
injured it, maybe?
I don't know, just,
I bet he'd been kicked by a cow. He was injured there, maybe.
But
Well,
anyway, Skippy got distemper and died. And so the idea was that we would find another dog. And so it seems to me that it was one of the boys that was riding with you and me. And here was a dog along the side of the road. And we stopped and picked up this dog. And then we realized the dog had, slobbered and kind of bitten at us. And we realized, oh my goodness, that could be a rabies dog. So we were tested, and sure enough, we had to get the rabies shots. And in those days, I think it was 13 shots, 13 weeks, remember?
I remember.
You had got the shot, I got the shot, Ralph got the shot. I think Daddy did. Did you?
I wasn't home, I don't think.
Yeah.
In the valley.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of thing that certainly doesn't happen today, because I think if you think you've come against a possible dog.
Well, you don't find rabid dogs running around like you did then. There's a
But there
town,
are
people
wild,
call.
there are wild animals that
Well,
you worry about, and boy, where we live, we have some. And so anyway, that
It's a
was an
horrible thing
experience,
to go
yeah,
through.
that you wouldn't have today, because I don't know how many shots you get, but probably not very many.
True. And they're not as hard on you as the old ones used to be, I understand. I never did have them, so.
Do you want to tell about the tornado?
Oh, yeah.
She wants to. You weren't there.
Huh?
You weren't there.
She
Okay.
wants to
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
he can add something.
Yeah,
You go
he
ahead.
had something.
You tell me what
Okay.
you remember.
We were taking dance lessons, remember? And we wanted to go to the dance lesson the next night. And so we went to bed early.
I didn't remember that.
Thank goodness, we went to bed early. And we were lying in bed and we heard this train coming. And so we sang, Mama done told me when I was in pigtails. Mama done told me. And then, how's it go?
A woman will sweet talk.
And give you the glad eye. But when that sweet talk comes down, and then how do you get to the train? Hear that lonesome whistle blowing across the trestle. Hoo-wee, my mama done told me, da hoo-wee, da-da-da-da-da. But anyway, see, we heard this train, and so we just went along with it. We flowed with the tide, like Kathy says she does at a reunion. And before we knew it, there was a terrible, was it a wind? A huge wind, and I remember trying to get to Mother, who was here in the back room. Mother and Dad slept there. We slept in the bedroom,
You slept in the front room,
in this bedroom right next to the
living room.
back room.
Yeah.
And why were you at home? Because that was in 1942. I thought you were.
We were already married, and I was living in town, but I was working for Temple, and then our gang got called out to repair the
Yeah.
coal mine down on that road. And when we got to Gar Springs, where Gar Springs Road breaks off from Railroad Pike, I stand up in the back and I hollered at some people standing around and said, "How you look at this?" And they said, "Pretty bad." So I told my boss I'd see him later. And I took off running up there. And I approached to the house. I look up on the hill and all I could see was boards.
Boys sticking up.
I think so. Daddy was out there with a lantern.
Yeah. Do you remember that after the house had blown over? Well, I remember holding a chair, trying to get to Mother, holding a chair and it broke into my hands, and you had a scar.
Yes, I did.
Well,
I think the glass dropped in the.
I was sleeping with glass.
yeah, it's from the window.
And
all the way
you
over.
in there.
And it's a long scar. It's about that long. Did you want to show it?
No.
Show it. But anyway,
I can get a close up.
then I remember Dad was standing, looking out, like you say, at open sky, and he said, "Remember?
No.
Oh, what are we going to do? The house is blown over." As if that wasn't obvious.
The upstairs rooms
Oh, that's
were
right.
all gone, but the floor covering all those four bottom room was still there.
Well, didn't you tell me it was held up by the piano?
Yes.
It was resting on the piano. And it was resting in your mother and dad's room. The roof was, or ceiling was resting on their metal bed, bed that they had. That saved them.
But Mother was injured because as she was trying to get to me and I was trying to get to her, the door fell on her head, and so she was bleeding pretty bad.
But she didn't pay any attention to it. She just,
She was all for her daughters.
yeah.
Yes.
She was
So tell that
thing.
preacher over there. I mean the video. The story that Dad tells about his billfold. I don't believe
Dad
that.
said he had put his billfold under the mattress that night. And when he went back to look for it, the wallet was still there, but the bills weren't.
Do you know what? He didn't say, I think. He told a lie.
We kidded him about that. That's a pretty strange thing to
No.
be claiming, but he
The
still
thing that
insisted.
blew, the wind blew.
He still insisted, and I guess it could.
I guess so.
Well, it does strange
Oh,
things.
well,
The
it's
pictures are
There's a
just,
suction
you can't
that goes
explain.
along with it.
You know, that's a really great way to clean a house. We lost our dolls, our beautiful big dolls, and our doll chairs, and all those things that we had enjoyed so much.
Out behind the house was a big old hay barn, but there were two garage spaces in there. He had a 41 Chevy pickup and a 41 Chevy two-door sedan. But one big beam came down across the tops of both of those, and on the pickup truck it caved in the cab, and I guess about the same thing happened to the sedan.
But we drove it.
But he sold the pickup and he kept the sedan, and I came home from the service sometime after that, and
It's back when Bud's was.
yeah, I guess when Bush
Oh,
was.
man, later.
1944.
But I got out there and stood up under that buckled top and popped most of it out.
Really?
It's been that way for all those years, and he just went in there and pushed it up.
And
And
guess what? That car stayed that way. You drove that car, didn't you, with that top kind
Was
of...
that car?
Yeah.
well, it stayed that way many years because it was much later. You know.
Well, that was in
I don't know when
1946
Lewis
we
was
were
missing,
married,
but
and he drove it. Or did you drive it in 43 when you came?
No.
what year was Lewis declared missing?
44 June.
See, it was when he went home on that leave, I think, that you did it.
So
Yeah.
Did someone say that there was a 2x4 that had been lifted up and was driven into the ground?
We had pictures of, part of
stuff and see what's next.
What month of the year was that?
February.
February, and we were just married in December, so we had been married.
Oh, tell us about when you guys. Okay,
Well,
that was in 41 that the war, that Pearl Harbor. And tell what you were doing when you heard the news.
Before we start that,
Yeah, you're still on your background. I just was saying
now I
that.
forgot what month.
Yeah,
He was
42,
living in-
February the 5th, 42.
Now it was before that, so I'll think of it. Go ahead.
But in 41, December 41, I can remember being out where you guys were doing something with furniture or something, getting ready. Do you remember when you got the news about Pearl Harbor and you just knew what that meant?
I don't remember.
I really can't bring that back. I think getting married was mostly on my mind.
Yeah, but boy, Pearl Harbor was, I know that
Yeah.
you were really,
Well, he had gotten out of the service, so he wasn't reclassified as an 1A. So he'd spent his year of military training and he got out when that year was done. So we got married and he wasn't classified as 1A, and being married helped a little bit to prevent it or to delay it. But then, at many months after that, we got married, he joined the cadets. So then, much later, he got his draft notice, he was going to be classified as 1A, but he joined the cadets.
and tell us about what you did in service and that you were right on the brink of going over there with B-52s or whatever it was.
Well, I went through flying school, graduated in 43B, which is the second class, February. And they sent me to Childress, Texas to fly student bombardiers, the AT-11s. And I was there a year, and then they sent me to B-17s to learn to fly them, and from there they sent me to Smyrna, Tennessee to learn to fly B-24s. And then they sent me to Laredo, Texas to fly student gunners, and a B-17 one day and a B-24 the next. And after about a year of that, they sent me to B-29s there. And in kind of a roundabout way, I finally got to B-29s and got my crew training, and we were up in Kansas to pick up our airplane to go across when the war ended. And so
He already had his trunk back.
I went to the separation center and came back to my little house, my little job, and my little family. And I didn't give it another thought about staying in reserve.
And Daddy used to brag about Dorothy. She follows him. Here she has this baby and then this
That's
other
nothing
baby.
to brag about,
Well,
that's just
yeah.
a beach.
Oh, but to think that you would, take up and
Oh, we had a
and
good
drive
time.
and
It was fun.
Yeah, I know it was, but Dad thought that was really
We
something.
even had another one around that.
Well, was that thing over
No,
there?
it was Rich.
Oh, really?
Jim was born in Little Rock after I got out of the service.
Uh-huh.
Well, what I was going to say a little bit ago was, our house was just demolished in the tornado, and in fact, everything was gone practically. And the Red Cross came out and wanted to help.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I thought that was,
You said no, huh?
Yeah.
What would they have done to him?
I don't know, they probably would
Given him
have loaned
some
me money.
Lent him money, and he would have had to pay it back. It wouldn't have been a
But
gift.
I was very proud of him. I thought I don't know how in the world
He was
did
pretty
what he did.
independent.
He
Oh,
was.
he's very.
And y'all moved to that little house down on the 10 acres that didn't have.
How did we get the people out? There were people out.
We told him they had to.
I think they just left when they realized the situation.
Well, no, I remember your mother and dad told them they evicted him. They said, we don't have any other place to go, and we have to have
Remember
a
that?
house.
Remember down there?
Oh, yes, I remember.
But that night we went over next door to LeCroy's.
Yeah.
Their house was intact. It
Yeah,
was so funny.
that's the way they work, where those things work. It touched down and then it blew off to some of your house.
Even the house right
They've
across the
done
road.
that out in our
Was
way
it in
too. We've had that happen great. The Johnson's
catch basin and a pipe going through that old bathtub from the well. But the well had one of those drill well buckets on it, which is yay long, about this big around, and you don't get a whole lot of water out of one of those buckets. And if you tried to water a herd of dairy cows from drawing water on the bucket, it's just an all-day job. And some of the cows were kind of bully cows, and they'd get up there and they'd drink and they'd drink and they'd drink and then they'd stand there a while and they'd drink a little bit more. But other cows couldn't get up there.
They are considerate. Cows are considerate.
They were thirsty.
Then we had a bull yard, and the bull got to be kind of mean, and so Daddy had a ring put in his nose and a rope, I guess, it went up to a wire across the bull yard, so that he couldn't really get out. But one summer the flies were pestering the bull. The Daddy felt sorry for him. He went up there with a fly spray and he sprayed him. He made a mistake in getting in the line of that cable, and that bull charged him and butted him behind all the way down to the end of the cable. And there was Daddy running, yeah. Wait a minute.
I didn't know that. What year was that?
Oh, I don't know. This was the Guernsey bull that
I remember the bull, but
I don't remember what year it was, but he had some bad bruises on his back.
Don't I remember the story about you and Joe and a horse?
Well, that was a sweet home. Joe was a horseman, and we had this World War II cavalry horse. He had the brand on his side, the U.S. Cavalry and so forth. A great big black tall horse, and every weekend Joe would go out in the neighborhood and race with other kids his age. And he came in one evening, and I met him down at the front gate, and there was a long curving drive from the front gate down to the barn. And I got Joe to let me ride Prince to the barn. Prince knew he was headed for the barn, and there wasn't any way to slow him down. And we went down that whole driveway with me up there, and whoa. Got to the barn, and he went in, and I had to duck.
oh, that's the kind of thing you remember.
Yeah.
I heard that story.
You remember that.
I didn't remember exactly.
Remember carrying Sarah back home.
Back home from where?
Oh,
So
well,
you
you
know
told
that
that
Oh,
was
yeah.
Sunday school.
Oh, so we didn't have to get some.
So we went to Sunday school.
That was so noble.
Well, I thought it was noble.
Well, I don't remember it, but I'm so glad that you put it on tape now. And
I remember something else about when Sarah was a baby and she was in a baby buggy and up in our house, and I got the chore of rocking Sarah in the baby buggy, and I was making as much noise as she could.
thank you. Thank you. Yes, I can
I
imagine.
enjoyed it.
Oh, me.
Well, can we tell about what we did on the farm?
No, you can't tell about what we just ran out of tape.
Oh.
Seriously.
Good.
But I got another tape. But I do need you to.
You know what?
Oh, darn. I should have put this on record.
Oh,
It was awfully hard to get out there,
Okay.
wasn't it?
yeah, there's a
Okay, well, hold up just a second.
Yeah, 40th Street. That one too. I know
Okay.
We went there much. The biggest one you remember, I think, is out on
Colonel
Colonel Glen.
Glen.
That's where the
Well, I
big
remember
field
one thing I
was.
remember about their house. Was it 44th Street?
40th.
40th.
Well, there was a 40th Street and a 44th. 44th was the one that's at the V there
Oh,
on
that's
Asher.
40th.
Well,
40th
whichever
Street.
one it was,
Well,
which is now down there close to where the butcher block used to be.
Well, that, whatever that is, I thought it was 44th. But you're
Yeah, whichever one it was. I remember that it had a porch that was 50 feet off the ground.
What?
Well,
Yeah, it was.
That's
It
right.
was a Superman feat. It had this one section. It was a screen-in porch that had no screen on it. I don't think it had one section where there wasn't, where it was,
I don't even
it
remember
wasn't
what
even
you're
cross.
talking about.
And you love to jump.
And I used to, yeah, it seemed like we'd tie a cape on and then jump off there. If we didn't tie a cape on, we felt like we were Superman anyway. That's
Well, that's when he was
a
little.
big
He was
two-story white
I don't
house.
remember.
Yeah.
And the porch was this high.
Oh,
pretty good sized front yard.
yeah, and where grandmother used to let me take little cardboard boxes out back when we
Most of them were turn off, go to Edward Wanda this way and go straight ahead. Or
Yeah.
go that way.
Well, I thought that was 44th.
Well,
What I'm talking about was over by
don't know.
the school, more like.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, there's a
just
little-
We
going
live next door to
forward.
the lady who was the secretary of the school. I can't think of the name of that street,
I don't know.
but I
can't-
don't
But
I
remember.
can't remember.
you're thinking about the same house he's talking about.
Okay. Any rate, I remember.
No, I know about the one he's talking about, but that was, it's at that Y on 44th Street. I thought it was 44th, maybe it's 40th, whatever street
Okay,
it was. I
that's
just
what
didn't know
he's
the
talking
number of
about.
it,
Anyway, whichever one it was.
street number.
And that was where we acquired a little doggy by the name of Shep. It was a stray, I think. He was kind of
That they had
a dark color.
Yeah.
What happened to it?
Was
I don't even remember.
that one that come to their house?
Yeah, I think he was a stray that came to their house, and I think we took him to our house. And
Oh, and he
finally
disappeared, didn't
disappeared
he?
from our house.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He became another stray.
He was a nomad.
Wanderer.
Oh, man.
But that's your own personal thoughts about it, but they probably have some things to tell about.
Yeah, but why don't you get in and tell what you remember about those ball games? Why don't you join?
Oh, well, I wasn't much of a ball. I wasn't much of well. The only thing I remember is playing tag with Janice and Lynn. But
That
you know,
sounds right.
uh,
That sounds right.
But I mean, when they're telling you about it, why don't you come over here and get in a word about what you remember about jumping,
Well, I-
jumping off from this 50?
that's okay.
Why don't y'all start with telling about the different places they live, and then when you get to that one, you can,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we want to tell about Mother and Daddy first, right?
you know.
Something about Mother and Dad.
I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, because
Okay.
we don't, you know, us young people like me who are only in our 50s or so, we don't know much about, you know, grandmother, granddaddy. And I'm sure, you know, your side of the family, you know, they didn't get to mess with them as much as we got to mess with them. So, mess with them, is that a good phrase?
But I've got some things to tell about.
Get acquainted with it.
Yeah.
Well, start.
Oh, is it going?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Just
It's-
talk on.
Yeah, it's going.
Yeah, I see
Is
that
it
little
really?
red light.
Okay.
Hmm?
Can I tell one thing?
Do tell.
There shouldn't be a red light. Where is the red light?
There's
Oh, that
one
red
I
light.
have to-
That just means it's turned on. That doesn't mean it's.
No.
No, I mean it just means the camera's turned on. It doesn't mean it's
Then
recording.
it's,
Oh, you don't have the recorder going? Well, why should we talk then?
I do have the recorder.
Oh. Talk.
I think, I guess I was pretty impressed with Mother and Dad having gone through a depression, and they had 7 children to feed, and I never remember being hungry. We were never hungry. We even had clothes. Mother sewed like mad, and Sarah and I were dressed as well as most people in those days.
And you were patched, or you were your overalls were patched as well
Well,
as
I
everybody's.
remember going to school over at Sweet Home, and I ran around with Jimmy Dixon, and he always had on new overalls. But my old overalls all had big patches on the knees.
Yeah, I
Wonder why they were wired up in
I can relate with that.
Well, now the name Dixon kind of rings a bell. Wasn't that a dairy also? Dixon Dairy?
Yeah, they were a bigger dairy than Linsley Dairy.
Obviously. They didn't have the,
But they didn't have the rating that the Linsley area.
Jimmy Dixon was my best friend at Sweet Home, and I didn't learn till many years later that he died pretty young. But they say that happens.
But anyway, Helen was telling, she was telling us.
I just, I was very impressed
Well,
that they could do that.
We had the same experience during the Depression, but we were fortunate to have lived on farms.
That's true.
Yeah,
That is very
milk.
true.
We had plenty to eat, didn't always have, as Clyde mentioned, the new clothes, and a lot of patching.
We had milk
Well, that
and eggs.
didn't seem to make any difference to Jimmy Dixon. We were still good buddies. He had on new overalls, and I had on French ones.
But in those days, even though I remember they brought home grapes once in a while. You know, this little
Were your mother and dad from?
Dad would bring home black grapes, and that was a real treat. But most of the time in the Depression, when it was we were really hard up, we'd eat eggs, we'd drink milk, we'd eat eggs, and we'd drink milk. Ice cream, you could make ice cream with milk and eggs.
I remember
And,
ice cream.
yeah, and
Sarah and her bucket of ice and her.
Might use a little cream in
You
there.
bet.
Oh, cream.
That was good ice cream. Good ice cream.
But I remember something else, just a little bit about the fact that your dad was on the railroad, and he used to, sometimes he wouldn't be able to pay the fare, and he took things like a gun once,
Yeah.
and payment of fare and other things, I can't remember.
Oh,
But
really?
do you not remember those stories that your mother used to do?
But one more thing about what we ate.
Oh,
If the cows got into bitterweed, or some of them would get into bitterweed, then we'd drink that milk, send the good milk to town, and we'd make it chocolate milk. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, during bitterweed season, we had a taster. We had to go down through and taste all the cows before we went.
Who's the
Taste
taster? Mother?
Mother.
Well, they varied. I think once you taste bitter milk, you need a new taster.
Did you ever become a taster?
I'm sure.
I had, but I didn't do much of it.
But when Mother and Dad met, as I remember, help me here, I think Mother was teaching in Little Rock, but living in Carlisle, so she rode the train, and that's how she got acquainted with Dad. And he
What year was that?
he was a
Roughly.
conductor, I think.
That would have been way back, 19. When were you born? 19.
I was born in 1918.
Okay, so 1916, 1914. Oh, early
Early.
1900s. And so Dad was kind of shy, but I guess not that shy. And they were married, and somehow they lived in Coffeyville, Kansas. Why?
Maybe that's where Dad was working
Out of
on the
Coffeyville.
railroad.
Oh, so then they moved there, and that's where Lewis was born, I think.
I think so too.
Well,
Joe was, he was born in Caldwell, Kansas.
Really?
He made a trip back up there to visit his birthplace
is that?
That's right, yes.
in the much later years. Talking about that romance, and one time Mother had a room at with a family named Hannah, and Daddy would court her there, and the Hannahs told her she ought to be ashamed of herself. She ought to give that guy. She ought to marry him. He wants to marry you. You ought to go.
So she went.
So she went.
But I've got to get this in. It makes me so mad to read all of these wonderful biographies and so forth, and everything is beautiful. Between my mother and dad, everything wasn't beautiful. should have been sweet and charming all the time.
Like me.
Like you.
And Jim.
Yeah.
Jim got it popping out his butt
Well,
all
you
the
know,
time.
it was popular for men to be in charge, and women were just not.
Yeah, but it was he overdid it.
Well, I'm sure that
And
a lot
we
of
got
us
to
did,
hear
not
this.
just him.
We
Lot-
heard this, but you guys didn't really hear it like we did.
I've heard it because your mother talked to me a lot.
Yeah, and I couldn't even have a friend come home because I was afraid there would be.
But we even that later,
rampage.
I didn't know that it had lasting that long. But
Oh boy, it was something. But this is in every family, and usually nobody drinks, nobody nobody has any bad habits. Everybody is just doing the best they can. Well,
According to biography.
yeah, according to biographies, but it
Well,
ain't so.
We've got to remember that it's never all one-sided. We've got to remember.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know what went on.
Exactly.
No, we have no idea what.
well, no, you don't know about each incident, and every incident was different.
But
Of
anyway.
course, we all get argued. I fight with pride sometimes.
Oh, we never fight.
Well, see,
Never
that's what's
disagree
going down in your
with
side. I
each
don't feel
other.
like you're telling it. I won't say that. Did you say I think?
Oh,
I think I didn't question you on
I
that.
think. But Dad, let's tell about him. He did not drink. He stayed focused on the family, and it was at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you got at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he tried to raise corn, and the corn wouldn't grow, and he was so ambitious for the family. And he was so proud of the family. And when we went our separate ways, and some of you weren't really separate ways, but you were still in Arkansas, but Ralph and Marge weren't, he would get us all together. It was his instigation that got us to these reunions. And who was it that told about when he wanted to pay one time? He wanted to pay, and somebody said, but you didn't eat pie. And he said, well, that would have cost more. And they said, but it came with the bill. It came with your menu. So he wanted to go back and get his pie.
I had heard that one.
Yeah. But anyway, he was wonderful. Tell about my mother.
Well,
Your mother.
interesting thing. I was talking about the patches on his knees. Guess who put the patches on? And then,
Helen?
no, but I did learn. Now, this is something that your children will not believe, that mother darned socks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
my mother did too. That's what
Oh,
I
But
did.
your children wouldn't believe anybody
Yeah.
ever darned socks.
Well, if you get a hold of them, throw them away.
That's exactly what I do. And he wears them till he can't get his foot to it. I throw them away.
But we have put a light bulb, in the heel,
Yeah.
and
Darn it.
made that.
And I never thought of that, but that's a good
And
idea.
they used to, before light bulbs came along, they used to have a round, well, not
Something they
oblong wooden.
Oh, we have
They did.
A darning egg.
Yeah.
Now, here's the
Yeah.
lady that can tell you about those kind of things. She's a stitcher.
Yeah. Hi. Hi. So what kind of stitching?
Say hi, honey.
All time.
Hi. Oh,
What kind of stitching do you do?
I do embroidery, needlework.
She's
And
not
a lot
one
of
to
it.
get. Yeah, we'll tell you about that after he turns that off.
Okay.
I can remember Mother's peanut butter
Popsicle.
fudge. Can you remember Mother's peanut butter fudge?
And she
Oh.
made pies.
Oh, yeah.
I remember her cocoa rolls for breakfast.
Yeah, I've heard one of those.
Oh, I do too.
All the scraps from making biscuits became
Oh yeah, I remember those.
cocoa
Yeah.
rolls.
And you take
You
those
mean-
on the dairy route. Grab a handful and go. Or at least that's what I did, because I kind of got up
you-
as late
you
as
got
I
up
could.
Too late. When you got to get up at 4 o'clock and
Yeah,
milk,
you
you
need more than
don't,
that.
you don't skip breakfast.
No.
But
And
mother did a lot.
she got up, she had to build a fire in the cook stove and cook biscuits, and oatmeal a lot of times.
Eggs,
Yeah.
sausage.
Well, I remember her talking about Ms. Leekbroyd had cooked steak.
Yeah,
breakfast?
they had steak
For
and pork
breakfast.
chops, and I always
For
thought,
breakfast?
For breakfast.
Well, we didn't
She
have,
said, I don't do that.
Oh, there's something I want to tell about her. We lived there after the tornado, and we lived in this new house that Daddy had built. And across the street from,
Yeah. You talking
across
about
the
Liz?
street from us lived Lizzie Deppie,
Yep.
and she had a sister named Sadie, and a brother named Paul. And that Paul was a shady character, but we didn't know that. Mother would say, now, you know, don't go in the house or something. But in those days, you walked to church at night. Girls did. Walked home at night, safe as could be. Ooh, how times have changed. But Paul, oh, what was the matter with him?
He's a little bit.
I thought he was just a ne'er-do-well.
Oh, maybe, but
He was not all.
But
brain,
Sadie-
his brain wasn't. all
Sadie
there.
sat on the porch like this with hands like this and her dress over like this, and she'd go, because she was just not, she was not with it, and Sadie took care of, Lizzie took care of her. And when Lizzie wanted to use a phone, she would say to Mother, can I come over and use your phone, because it's just hanging on the wall.
I know another story about that, if you don't tell it.
Tell it.
About Lizzie borrowing coffee from her, and she'd come over and borrow your mother's good coffee, and so when she'd pay her, your mother back, your mother just kept that in a separate container, and she filled it up, and then when she borrowed it the next time, she got
Mother
the
was
tea
smart.
coffee.
Mother was smart. But she used to make us the most wonderful church dresses. Remember?
She was a good seamstress.
Out of feet sacks.
Oh!
Yeah,
You
of
talking
course.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
Mother?
church dresses.
Oh, well,
Mother making them?
yeah.
Remember that, those striper dresses, and we had these nice hats, striper dresses, and she called them, excuse me everybody, but she called them nigger dresses because they were so bright. You remember
We
that?
did like bright clothes.
Yes, but oh, we felt so dressed up.
Huh?
Well, she did a good job.
And she didn't need patterns. She just looked at the catalog, what would you like? And I would like that dress. And
So she made it.
She made it.
I
She,
didn't know that.
she was very, very smart. But so was Dad. That's why we're all so smart.
What?
Because my mother and Dad were so smart. That's why we're so smart.
You say you are.
Yes, we are. That's why our children are so intelligent, smart.
They are.
Well, you have to remember, they inherited some things from
From
us.
the Kellums and from the Taylors.
I'm not going to let that pass. I can remember a lot of things.
And then the water came along.
What?
The water came along.
Well, let me stop here just for a minute, or not stop there. Give us kind of a chronological idea of when, to the best of your ability, when grandmother and granddaddy were born, when they got married, and when each of the kids were born.
Well, you have their birth dates, don't you? Of
Well-
the kids.
No, here.
They don't have to be 18 minutes. That they were born.
Yes, it bound to have been, but we have records somewhere, but somebody
I
had.
know there was an autograph book in that, one of Dad's autograph books. It was a little green book. Did you all notice it? And it had the dates of 1893, and you know people would sign his autograph book.
I didn't know he had that. I didn't see that. Was
Okay,
it in
well-
that bunch of pictures?
Probably is a
I didn't get to see it.
Western Quarter.
Well, let me ask you something. And who was Granddaddy's dad and grandmother and such a
And
thing?
how many siblings
Never
did
did
he have?
know.
Where was Granddaddy born?
Father. Don't know much
He
about
might
it.
have been born in Illinois, wasn't he? Maybe?
Wasn't he a drunkard? I hate to bring in these things, but it seems like there's something about him that we don't talk about.
Well, he had.
Well, he told a story. I'm sure. I think it was in jest.
Who?
Yeah, told us
Yeah,
her
it-
dad.
I always heard that from grandmother.
Huh?
I thought grandmother told that story.
No, he said that our name used to be spelled with a D too, but they had a horse thief in the family, so they dropped the D and moved to Arkansas.
That was just a joke.
But I like that.
I hope
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was born in
Yeah, he lived in Illinois, but when they
Yeah, but you know, Dad, the thing is, I understood that there was a horse thief in the family. It's just that I never understood which side the horse thief was on. The
Well, it was
ones
on
with
the-
the D's or
it was
the
on
ones
the-
that took the D out.
Okay, all right.
Right.
On the Cook side, that would be mother's side, there was Uncle Everett.
Yes.
And he lost his family, he lost everything, and he died probably drunk on the floor. It's too bad.
Well, he lived with your mother a short time.
Yeah.
And he was a
And
handsome man.
during that time,
And he was smart.
well, during that time that he lived with her, over on Gar Springs Road after your dad died, he came down and your mother couldn't resist letting him come down and
Ugh.
stay. And while he was there, he dirtied their quilts or something, and she put him in the bathtub and was washing them, and she fell and broke her arm while she was doing his cleaning
Really?
job
I didn't
for him.
know that.
You didn't know about that? Well, she had a broken arm a while, and that was the reason.
Well, they say
She didn't
that,
want him to come, but she couldn't tell him not to.
they say that it's a chemical thing in the brain, but I think it has a lot to do with self-control.
What you talk about the
About
drinking?
the drinking, yeah. I
Oh.
think there's a lot to do
What was
with
it, you,
self-control.
Coast Guard?
He was in the Navy at least, somehow.
Where she had how many brothers? What were her siblings? She had
Lee,
Lee and Tom.
Tom, and Everett. And I think she had
Little Joe that died,
some
yeah.
died there.
And Everett Bernice.
Aunt Bernice,
Was
and
her
then
sister.
there was Ada. There were twins. Didn't they both die soon after they were born?
I don't know. I just know.
I think that was Aunt Bernice's children.
Now, was
no,
Aunt Bernice-
Your mother. She had babies that were twins that died. I remember something about that. But they died at childbirth. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Aunt Bernice was younger than
Yeah.
grandmother Linsley. Her name was Ruby Cook Linsley. Ruby
Ruby Irene.
Irene Cook Linsley.
And Bernice was Bernice. And Helen's named after Helen
And
Bernice.
Bernice lived quite a long time after grandmother
Oh, yeah.
Linsley.
Yeah.
And how much age difference was there?
Probably a couple of years old.
Not a great deal.
Mother was a little bit older than Bernice.
We know some things about Aunt Bernice.
Tell us. Well,
Aunt Bernice had Kathleen, Marion, Ione, J.I. Jr., Thomas, and Billy.
that's good.
J.I. Jr. died at a young age. We understood that because he ate some green peanuts.
I've never heard that. And that wasn't what I was thinking of. Go ahead and tell them about if you want to. Because Billy died of cancer when he was grown
But
and married.
he was on the Enterprise in the bar.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
that
true.
Enterprise, I think it's still going. I think it's still out there. But what a guy.
What I was thinking about was when Aunt Bernice was in her older years and Thomas had gone there to live with her,
Yeah.
take care of her. And we went over to visit, Pat and I went over to visit. She was playing, we prodded her to play the piano.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to, but she could still play. And it was something I was going to think about that. Oh, I know. She was sitting there playing, and here was Thomas and Clyde, and I was sitting there yakking, and she turned around and said, "You're not listening to me."
Thomas said,
Oh, yeah.
I don't play all the way through.
Oh, yeah, she was just playing
I'll just play a little bit, play all the way through. Well, you're not listening.
You probably weren't.
But
Oh,
she
we
was
were
in her
here.
90s
We were-
then, or she was 90, I guess,
Yeah.
then, so.
We went to visit one time, or I guess I went to visit, maybe it was Thomas funeral. Somehow I went to visit, and she watched television all the time I was there, so.
Yeah, when she got to where
Hold
she
on.
was senile, but
Yeah.
like,
Oh, careful.
people get that way,
I guess some people do.
Well, all of us will eventually, in one way or another, not mentally, then physically, or whatever, so.
But, Lois was born then when? If you were born in 1900,
I was born in 27 and he was 13 years old or something. Was
Well,
it
at-
1914?
At one point, your Aunt Bernice and Uncle J.I. lived with your mother and dad.
yeah,
And I don't know at what point that was.
and they had a,
They had a
Automobile, they did.
yeah, but that didn't work out.
Well, was it during that
cycle that I can remember that Dad was laid off by the railroad. But it must have been tough for several years till he got his modern age right going.
There is another point in which your mother and dad had some a young lady living with you, and we still have been in touch with them.
We had a couple of girls from Ferndale who were school age, and their parents wanted them to come live with us and work with us in order to go to school. And it was Hazel and
White, gray,
Was it Eva?
no.
Irma,
Irma.
Hazel, White.
Mm-hmm.
And they were teenagers when I was 9 or 10, I guess, 10 or 11. But they stayed with us and they worked in the dairy and helped run the house for several years. And they always recognized the name Linsley, and them ran into one of them's daughter,
Yeah.
Was it Irma?
and she
Yeah.
We still hear from
found
her.
out what his name was, and she wanted to know if she was kin to
Mhm.
Mrs. Dairy. And we had visited out there with, was it Irma that we visited?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Irma's the one I believe I talked to. I was fixing their phone at the time. And she catches me and says, "Are you related to the Linsley? How do you spell your last name?" Want to make sure I wasn't a horse trader.
But did you know
Okay.
about those days when they lived with you? Did you remember that?
That was a
Either of you.
Well, I think that I hear the story that I was in a high chair and Irma was taking care of me or somebody was taking care of me and I fell off and I still have that
I
scar.
think I remember that story.
Yeah, I was
But
that
you were
scar.
so little, you don't
Yeah,
remember them that much.
no. But let's not get too far away from that thing before we talk about Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you one thing about
Okay.
Irma. No, I got
Want to go any later? So we can come back to that later.
Oh, she said she was churning one day down in the milk house, and one of these turned on a crank, but she didn't fasten the lid. And she ruined the whole batch of butter.
Oh, Helen, tell about when we used to have to go down to the milk house and churn. We didn't turn any cranks.
You did it like this.
Yeah. Number. In other words, what was that in there? Sour milk?
Clabbered milk.
Clabbered milk. And so we count how many times we'd done it, and it was the other one's turn. And then we just keep until we got everything. But butter came to the top. See,
You know
don't know
about-
about that.
you know about
You know
turning?
about that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's another science.
Yeah. But anyway, Lewis, as he was growing up, he was working on dairy, and the thing that everybody in the neighborhood knew about him was that when he went to get his hair cut or went to do something, you know,
Away from home.
and was walking home, he never wasted time. He was reading his history book
Yeah,
or
I
reading
heard
some
that.
kind of book, and he'd be walking along reading his book, and so they knew, oh, that's Louis Linsley. What else about Lewis?
Well, he wrote awfully good letters when he was in the service.
And in the service, Janice remembered this. She's very interested in World War II. And she said that she remembered Mother telling about that one time the lieutenant or somebody in charge came in and said, Who's Linsley? And he said, I am. And he said, I just wanted to see you. He said, You've made the highest score that has ever been made
Oh.
on a test given in the Army. And so he was very smart. He was smarter than you and me and you, and he was so smart.
Well, I have one thing to contribute to that. When I was pregnant with Bub, and Clyde was still in the service, and he wasn't home at that time, and Lewis was home on leave, and I was walking a mile a day, making a loop around there at Gar Springs. He walked with me.
Oh,
Because he didn't want me to walk by myself.
Oh, I tell about when he came home on leave and took us to that. He wanted us to be sure to see.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
I really did not remember a lot of that was.
It's just the same as David doesn't remember about too. But he came home and he wanted us to see this movie that was a child's movie, not his
Oh.
type of movie, and he took us to that.
It wasn't Disney, of course. Not in those
Not
days.
yet. What else was? He wrote letters to Mother from the service, and
I've got a whole box of them.
yeah, and I've got a whole bunch, and I wrote, I wrote up a kind of a history of Lois, and I've got it in a leather bound. They made a leather bound,
Well, you're
yeah, binder. And so I laid it out, and I think one of our kids has read it. So there's nobody gonna watch this. Just
But
count.
there was one story that Clyde told me about that was in some of those letters, and that was about the parade in New York.
Oh, in D.C.
Oh, DC.
He worked in D.C. before he was drafted. And he was going to Washington University, I think. But one day, Franklin Roosevelt was in a parade, and he was there at the parade.
He was writing this in his letter.
And he said that when Roosevelt came by, he said, "Well, hello, Lois. I'm so glad to see you."
And he thought that who was the guy that was head of he was president, I guess, at the time of the First World War. What was his name?
Wilson.
Wilson. Yeah, no, what was his name?
Herbert.
No. Anyway, somebody that started the United Nations. Who would that have been? And he just thought that he was the most wonderful person in the world, and that we should go
It was
with
Woodrow Wilson, but I don't remember who.
we should go. Yes, we should go with the United Nations, and maybe we can eliminate wars. He had some hope.
Yeah.
Lewis was probably not a typical big brother, because he loved to carouse around or bounce around with his younger brothers. And one time,
It's kind of like us.
You didn't say carouse.
no, I shouldn't have said that. One time he was
Play around.
coming from the dairy barn with a pail of milk, and I was going back to the dairy barn with an empty pail, and as he approached me, he did that to me.
And you missed it.
So I did that to him, but he ducked into it. Got the time right.
Well, there's another story you tell about that in
Well,
school.
got so used to beating on Lois anytime I wanted to.
And he wouldn't be back.
Over at the Gar Spring School, at elementary school, a great big country boy, I think his name was McCracken, something like that. I'm trying to do something like that. But he did something I didn't like. I started beating on him. He just picked me up and tossed me, and I landed on all four.
He was expecting to act like Lewis.
And he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. He didn't. Well, he just got rid of me.
At Gar Springs Elementary School.
Yeah.
You had to say
Just gonna let this in.
one
Was that
thing I
That
remember
was-
in the Gar Springs Elementary School was that Miss had a first grade teacher who had sixth grades, several grades in her classroom. If somebody had a cold, she would take her cough syrup and a spoon, and she'd go around and everybody. Did you ever have that happen?
No.
No, I didn't go there.
Everybody, some cough syrup.
We're still at it.
Okay. Yeah. You're welcome
So
over
we
here.
aren't in the war yet. Let's get to the war. Okay, he's.
One thing I'd like for you to
Kind of move slow was
what Dad did and how you all got introduced.
Oh yes. Okay.
yeah. I remember something about that.
So Dan thought that these poor soldiers out at Camp Robinson, I think he maybe had an ulterior motive, or rather an interior motive. That these
Of course not. It was just that he was thinking about his sons, where they were.
That's right. He was considerate. He wasn't thinking about his daughter's need for a. But anyway, he wanted the Sunday school. He didn't go to Sunday school, but he wanted them to have these soldiers come out for Sunday to church and to a picnic, and so. What do you know? A whole bunch of them did. Here, move over here closer. And so that's how Dick and I met. But Helen and I sang that Sunday. We sang, "I will rise and remember, go, come on, back to my father and home, back the prodigal son."
Oh, really?
Well, anyway, we sang a duet.
And we didn't play tickle.
Probably not. And we impressed.
Good impression.
We impressed those soldiers. And so then we had this picnic with all of the community there, and then we played ball. It was 95 degrees. How could we play ball out in that sun? But we did. And were you the pitcher or was I the pitcher? I don't know.
Dick
But,
just remembers he was there.
but
Maybe I would.
we made connections, and also
Occasionally.
we had a horse, and so he liked.
I like horses.
And he also liked being on a farm because, of course, he's from a farm in Indiana.
All right,
Studio.
so Dick said, "Well, can I come back next Sunday?" Is that what
I-
happened?
Let's back up. When we got the invitation, it was posted on the bulletin board, camp,
Oh, at camp, huh?
in, I guess maybe it was in chapel,
Oh,
and it's for Father's Day, actually. And it was the first day that our group would, weren't in quarantine or whatever. Anyway,
That's why you came.
we
Restricted the quarters.
Yeah, we'd been there about 3 weeks, and this was our first weekend that we could go out.
Yeah.
And so
Or anything no good then, huh?
Watch it, Dick.
there were some of the church members came to the bus station in cars, and
Yeah.
there were 20, I
And then
think
he
20,
went on. And then he
20 or
picked me up.
21 of us.
you mean that many went to your, for dinner at your house?
A big group that.
Yeah, but see, it
But
was not
the
like
church
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
did, well, we did too, but
And that preacher made
But that
Mother
wasn't Guyer Springs Church, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it?
And the preacher was Brother Williams, and it made Mother so mad. That little preacher, to think that he would say, who knows, maybe some of these young men out here in the, what do you call it, the audience?
Congregation.
Congregation, will meet some of the girls here, and something will come of it. And that made Mother so mad. So mad.
Something did come up.
Oh, boy!
You know what he's talking about.
But you know, these wartime marriages
They never last.
never last.
Dick has been quarantined so long.
You know about that, Bob. Dorothy, you know about that, yeah.
Now what? Now we
That wartime marriages just don't last.
Well, I don't know that I ever heard that.
Well,
I
it's
just
not,
didn't
it's
listen
not
to that
true.
kind of
People that
stuff.
married then, they settle down with a home and kids. All of a sudden they had kids, and then they had kids, and then they had kids.
I've never heard all those things.
Oh, you were part of it.
Well, I didn't ever hear about it. I didn't hear
you were
about it.
busy doing it.
I guess so. I just ignored it.
Oh.
Those, he went to Fort Sill to get his officer candidate, or
Training.
his training in artillery. And he graduated from there and then went to England pretty quick, and he was over there in a long time. And I had gone through flying school and went to Childress and was flying student bombardiers for a year, and they sent me to B-17. So I wrote Boyce a letter, said, I'm going to 17, I'll be over there to see you, and I'll whoop you.
Well, look, he went with the 29th Division. And the 29th Division was a National Guard or joined them sometime before he went overseas.
And in the,
And the reason I know that, because when I went over as a replacement, I went to 29th Division.
so he's got the same influence that we do. Lewis, let's see, it was in June. It was 10 days after D-Day. He went in on D-Day. And 10 days after D-Day, they were sending tanks into these hedgerows. And it was suicide. And Lewis knew it was suicide. He was a forward observer. And he had a radio man named Sanford Zuber, great big guy. You remember him. And so Sanford Zuber, Lewis was killed when he gave orders to back up. And when the guy backed up, he hit a tree. So they were stymied there for a minute, and they were hit.
Oh,
And so they say that one or two of them got out, but they looked back, and Lewis was slumped over. So he was apparently killed in that blast. And but anyway, before he went over, Sanford, the radio man, was going to go with him. He said, "No, this is a suicide mission. I don't want you to go, and I don't need you anyway." You know, he could handle the radio. So Sanford didn't go, and he went through the whole war, okay, and came and visited everybody. Remember everybody that he had.
contact with them.
Right, yeah. And I said to him, "Well, why would you do this?" And he said, "Some things are more important than other things, and this has been a slogan that I've followed forever." And when telegraph, when they're doing something that it seems like it's pretty hard to do, so well, some things are more important than other things. It's a little bit there.
Well, I had ROTC in artillery and knew a little something about the different positions. And Lewis's position as a forward observer,
He was right up there in the middle.
right, and in fact, we had a lot of times there'd be a forward observer
Friendly
with the
fire.
artillery with the infantry.
Yeah.
But you also had a lot of result of deaths from friendly fire, where they were behind you shooting.
Oh,
Did you or not?
yes, we had some, but
I thought maybe that's what happened. I didn't know.
No, it was the rest
no,
of it
that was an experiment. Really.
They were trying
But
to get
the friendly fire part, well, I don't know all the details, but it was, a lot was made of it, I'm sure, in the press. But, and it happened.
Well, because it was a dangerous place to be.
And-
Either your
War.
folks or.
And well, just to show the chances you take sometimes, with artillery, we were, as infantrymen, were trained in some of the ways to bring artillery fire in on us, or close to us. And it wasn't the instructions like a forward observer would give. They knew exactly where the guns were located. And we didn't. So we were told to tell on the radio the directions of
Enemy
where the
fire.
round went in relation to us,
Yeah.
not in relation to the guns.
And you told the artillery to raise it or lower it?
Yeah, either, no, it was more like, it was so far to the left, or so far in front of us. And then they adjusted.
Was it artillery fire that got your leg?
Oh, no.
What was that?
A German tank gun.
And that was a bullet, some fire that was
Well,
shot off a tree or what?
Well, it hit a tree, so that
shrapnel.
and all the shrapnel came down.
And so his leg, here, I'm going to show you.
I've got on
Yeah, he's got on a
support hose. so-
support hose, but his leg was almost shot away. Almost shot away, but the surgeon came around and
Well, when we got back to the evacuation hospital, the doctor came around about midnight and said, I suppose you know you've got a bad leg. I said, yeah, I thought my foot was blowing off at first. And he said, well, if there's any chance of saving it, we'll leave it on. And
That's not good to hear, is it?
yeah, and next morning, he came around and of course my toes were sticking out of the cast, and he put his hand on my toes and he says, wiggle your toes. There's no way in the world I could wiggle my toes, but apparently they were warm, or he felt the muscles move a little
Try to
bit,
move.
and
you put all of your strength into
And,
it. Move.
he said, well, I think we've saved it.
So how many years in the hospital? That was in 45, April?
Was it 45 or was it 46?
Well, I think 45.
Yeah, I guess it was 45. Well, I was back in the hospital once after we got married.
Anyway, altogether, it was more like 3 or 4 years, either in the hospital, in a cast, or having surgery, or on crutches, or on a brace.
Well, I was discharged with a brace with joints in it.
What year?
Early in 48, wasn't it?
Oh, boy. That was when you were born, Rich.
That's 44.
We knew you'd say that.
Yeah, it must have been early in 48. And I got discharged then because I was going back to school. Otherwise, I had to stay for more.
Boy, they really bring it out of you, don't they? No discharge, you gotta go to school first.
When I wrote that smiley letter to Louis, I don't know, come over and whoop him. He wrote back a very serious letter about,
Oh, yeah.
this ain't for fun over here.
And the last letter he wrote was saying, let's just hope that anything that comes my way will be a dud. And
He
that was
says
just
your brother is no rear echelon soldier, too. I remember that particular expression.
No, of course, the artillery would be back a ways, and I'm part of infantrymen considered rear echelon, but I mentioned a while ago, the forward observer, artillery forward
He's
observer.
right up there with
is
it.
right up there with the infantry.
I understand that the tank that got him was hiding in one of the hedgerows, and they never see him.
after they had done this experiment with the tanks going down in the hedgerow and on up and being sitting duck for the fire, then they did something on the front. You know, they very resourceful. They put something on the front of the tanks that got through the hedgerows. Don't you remember that?
Those are blame, I guess.
Yeah, that a blade, some kind of blade.
Similar to a boulder.
So then, after Lewis was killed, then it was, and after the experiment was over, then they were better able to get through those hedgerows. Oh,
It didn't take them as long, so they weren't sitting ducks for a long period of
yeah.
time.
But to all the children, the grandchildren, the cousins, the nephews, and so forth, I think Dick will have his memoirs written about from the time he went in all through the war, which is the history of the war, and probably Todd will have written his.
No, Jim and the kids have been after me to I've told my war stories so many times, they don't listen anymore.
Yes, like I say, I did this whole write-up of these letters. So children, grandchildren, nephews, and nieces. There is also a history of Lewis in this, and it'll be there.
And you know something you forgot back there when you talked about your dad? I don't think any mention was made of his siblings. You
Oh,
know,
back to his siblings.
I say, I don't believe anything was mentioned about the fact that your dad had siblings
Right,
and
we
named
did,
them.
list moms, didn't we?
Yeah, you told about your mother's siblings, but not your dad's.
Uncle Clyde went to the First World War.
Well, he was. Oh, yeah, he was.
He was in the First World War.
But I was thinking about Aunt, what their names were.
And Helen.
Helen and
Stella.
So they were part of his siblings too, weren't they?
Yeah, and
They were
Uncle
his sisters.
Rice, who I think died of
Who?
Uncle Rice,
Oh,
R-I-C-E,
yeah.
died of something like malaria or some disease. But
I don't suppose any of them were the horse thieves.
no, that would have been on your side, her side.
Not on my side.
But
It wasn't
brought
just
back-
Linsley's that had the horse thief, not the
he
Kelloggs.
brought
The
back-
Linsley's with the D.
He
With
brought
a
back
D.
a cannon bullet, and Mother had it on the piano for the longest time as a bass. Who has that?
I don't know who had
It probably went
Maybe
to storm,
not.
don't you think?
It was from
it was
World War One.
the artillery shell.
Yeah.
I bet I can tell you who that.
Oh.
I think it's my son.
Oh,
He's a historian.
Somebody did some foreman punching out on that shell. And it
Yeah.
was a brand of some sort.
Yeah, and they scalloped it at the top.
well, there used to be a lot of that going
That
on.
was
They
an
pick them
artillery
up,
shell case.
Yeah.
just pick them up in different
Pretty big
places and bring
case.
them
Yeah,
back.
boy.
Good leader.
Be glad that didn't hit you.
Well, we've gone through quite a few things, but one of the things that Jim remembers and that I remember, and I know my kids remember, were ball games
Yeah.
in the front yard of Mother's and Dad's house. And I will have to mention that Lindsay Senior happened to be a star in that.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think
And Lindsay Junior too.
I think the stars of that game was Clyde Linsley and Pat Linsley.
Oh,
And
really?
you see, of course, all the nieces and nephews and all the other little kids were running around there. But when Clyde was the quarterback and Pat was the center, what I said to Pat was, Pat, you just run as hard as you can straight ahead. And when I holler at you, you throw your hands up like over your shoulder and just go on for the touchdown.
Well, did you guys
And
have
it
shoulder
never worked.
pads?
It never worked because Muncie and Muncie were.
Well, then there was one time when little Muncie got some cleats, and he thought he could run a circle around anybody. And Rich, and I were playing big months and little months. And big months centered to little months, and Richie covered big months, and I covered little months. And he'd run this way, and I'd spread out my arm like that, and stop him. He'd run back this way, and I'd spread out my arm and stop him. Finally, that went on for quite a while, and finally he slipped, and I slipped, and I fell on top of him.
Oh my!
And we just laid there and laughed. And every time I see Pat, he says, "Unc, give me a long one."
Well, back to your parents, both of them were, I think this is right, isn't it? Both of them were born in Illinois.
Yeah. Well,
No,
Or was mother born in
Mother was
Illinois?
born in Carlisle.
But-
Arkansas.
Has many relatives
Yeah,
that
from
were
Illinois.
in Illinois.
And we've been out.
We met some.
Helen, I'm sorry, I had to take that story away from you, but Muncie were not the stars.
That's only your opinion.
But my
But
opinion,
ask Pat.
No, I'll ask Lynn.
oh, you got a lot of people do that.
Lynn and Carol and Helen and assorted nephews and everybody was out there, and the yard wasn't hardly big enough to throw past it.
But Sarah doesn't remember all this, but they were.
I beg to disagree with you. That thing was 50 yards wide and 150 yards long.
Tell us about
So I know, I was back there, you know, and I remember how big that thing was. It's
Tell us about the porch that you jumped off from.
the
with the
50-foot
gate.
porch. No,
Wait, let me
I
tell
told
you
about that.
Dad sitting up there on the porch watching all this going on and just laughing.
I still don't know what porch that was that he's talking
Colonel
about.
Glenn. Oh, the one that Jim's talking
The
about.
50-foot porch.
That porch wasn't very high though, and I can't think. Of course, it's like that big place we lived on where the street had the curve this high, you know. It didn't.
Speaking of high things, at Sweet Home, before we left Sweet Home, one Sunday, Louis and Joe got to go over to Sweet Home to visit with the McCracken boys, but Clyde didn't get to go.
Oh,
So a little while after they left, I said, "Come on, Spot." We went over, got almost to where they were, to the Sweet Home, to the Fuller Elementary School ground, which had a great big high clay bank that you could slide down, and that's where Daddy caught me.
how old were you?
Well, I was 9 when we left there. I guess I was probably 9 when he caught me. And he got me up in the back of that 1-ton Model T truck and gave me a whooping.
Did he?
Now wait. Were you saying you're 7 when you left and 9 when he called you? Does that mean it added 2 years to your life, or took 2 years away from your life?
I was 9 years old when we had that cattle drive.
I've got
Sometime before that, I ran away from home.
that. No, that was it. That was at Gary Springs. You ran away from home.
No.
Did you run away from home twice? Yes, you did at Gary Springs. You ran away from home, and I remember writing to you, "Please come home. We miss you," and sent it on the milk route because you got mad.
Oh.
Remember
Oh,
that?
I got
Oh,
mad.
oh.
I
I
got
heard
mad.
that story.
He got upset. He said, "I'll show him. I won't show up for milk."
You mean he has a temper like that too? I didn't know that.
Well, it wasn't a temper.
That's a story I haven't
It
heard.
was just a statement.
I haven't even heard that.
You won't.
We'll tell you about it. Why did you
I
leave?
guess they're off in the corner.
What?
I said, "Shut up."
Did you? You didn't get a spanking. You were the only one that
No.
didn't get a whopping.
No, I didn't
Oh
go.
boy. Well, I've just got to interject about.
Well, no, wait. I want to hear about this.
I can tell Jim. He hadn't told me about it either.
Come on,
No, you don't want to hear that.
come on.
You ain't going to hear
Well,
that.
it's not the thing that
He's
comes
not
out
gonna
by
put it on
advertise,
tape.
right? It's the kind of thing you don't put down in print. But please tell us anyway.
He put it in for posterity if he tells it now.
No, I here go. I turned the camera off.
Believe that.
It's off the record, right?
It's off the record.
Yeah.
I wrote a diary. And my father read my diary. And that made me unhappy. And since my 2 older brothers were already living in a boarding house in town, throwing paper routes, I dropped off at the boarding house.
You were sick and tired of taking the milk route.
I don't guess I was taking the milk route then. But someone persuaded me to come on back home.
I did. We
Sarah.
couldn't stand it, could we?
Just couldn't.
Couldn't stand it without our brother.
Oh, yeah.
And we begged you. We wrote you letters.
Well, you had another brother who left home. Did you do that for him too?
Probably.
For each one?
No, he was a favorite child.
Is that what's wrong with him?
between my
It's
father
okay.
and me primarily.
It's on tape. Of course it's on tape. You used to be.
It was on tape.
No, anybody who believes what he says, turn it off. Don't believe
Clyde wasn't fooled.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like we sat here for 2
I
hours
think
and
he
he
had
said
told
he
me
didn't have a
that. I
recorder
didn't
on.
realize it was that he left home. How long were you gone then? Did you go right back or?
Probably a day or two.
There,
Overnight?
he got hungry.
I believe overnight.
And speaking of hungry, are y'all getting?
I think Daddy stopped by there the next day and said, come on, come on, come on,
Yeah, sweet thing.
come on.
2 o'clock.
We need you.
He used to say about Clyde, now that Clyde, he's a good boy, but that boy Elmer, Daddy used, I've heard him say that, and you know, it stained Elmer's growing up. You know, just like when you called me
Heifer.
a D-heifer. Oh, Clyde.
You know, when you're getting bored.
Well, guys, that's about all the tape I got left.
Well, you know,
So-
it's
Well, we're not through yet.
Yeah, well,